Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with Black Clover. Last time around, we had To Help Somebody Someday, where basically Goosh returned after Mari called him lame, and so he decided to not be lame and help people because that would make Mari happy. And him and Asta fought together and defeated Barrow and Sally. And then the day had been saved until Liched showed up. Boss Man Frank, now known as Liched. He showed up, threw a bunch of light daggers at people, stabbed a lot of people. People might be dying. It's not good. And yeah, we are now up the creek without a paddle, I would say. So, yeah, that's pretty much where we left off. Like always, the reaction is down in the description and in the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure, so let's go ahead and jump right into this episode of Black Clover. Here we go. That better not be the last time we get a petite Clover. If we don't get one in the next episode, then I'm gonna have to look this up, because I hope it's not going away. I mean, Jujutsu Kaisen did that. They stopped doing the Juju Stroll, which was a great part. I always loved the Juju Stroll, even as weird as they got. But it's the same thing. I mean, it's just goofiness. I like goofiness. Man, oh man. Friggin', he's so great. He's so cool. Yami is so cool, you know? It's interesting they make note that he is from a foreign land. He's basically he's from this world's equivalent of Japan, which is funny. And it is funny too that it's like that Liched is like, well, you're not from the Clover Kingdom, so technically I don't have a beef with you, but man, I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of iffy on his like whole motivation on Licht's man, that's hard to say, on Licht's motivation. But then again, he's also a villain. It's not like he needs to be right, you know. He could just be crazy. So, meh. I remember I watched a video. It was talking about Batman, and it's just like a passing mention of Batman, basically, and it's just like, you know, all the villains in Batman, they can be really compelling and they say these things that are kind of true, but then their whole point is undermined by, you know, they're going to plant a bomb in Gotham. And it's just like, well, wait, weren't you just talking about, like, reforming society and the terrible things that we're doing? Okay, I guess the bomb sort of supersedes that now. It's like, that's kind of what Liched is. It's like, oh, you know, we were cast out by the Clover Kingdom and stuff, so we will take our revenge and destroy it. Okay, your beef is with the Magic Knights. Like the Magic Knight, that's one thing. The innocent people? No, I don't think so. The children? These children who probably weren't even alive when this happened? Nah, man. This ain't it, Chief. Chief Liched. And also just the whole thing of like, the real victims are the strong. Like, bitch, what are you talking about? I mean, you can go somewhere else. I know that sucks, you know? I understand that it sucks that the Clover Kingdom cast you out for being weirdly strong, you know? I mean, it's the same with, like, Rhodes, where it's just like, you know, I couldn't, you know, I had this, like, taboo power, and so I was kicked out and stuff. But even then, they were like, why didn't you do something with that, you know? It's like, oh, they just don't see my genius, my immense strength. It's like, did you show them, or did you just say it and didn't explain everything? It's like, there is a bit of a half and half on, yes, it sucks that the Clover Kingdom kicked you out, but there were probably things you could do about it. At least with Rhodes. For the others, I don't know. I mean, it's like, look, I'm just going to assume Sally's backstory of she was a crazy bitch and wanted to experiment on people, and so they kicked her out. If you were hurting people, if you were experimenting on them without their consent, then yeah, I don't really have any sympathy for you. With Liched, I don't know. Now, he seems to have been a former Magic Knight. Just on the basis that Fuegoleon did recognize him. And Yami kind of recognizes him. Then again, he also doesn't, but that's just because he probably doesn't care enough. You know? That's a Yami thing, but Fuegoleon recognized him. So, and then, I mean, it is a thing of like, look, I guess it sucks. You were unjustly removed from the Clover Kingdom. But like, when you do this whole thing of like, oh, we will build a better kingdom, like, why don't you just go do that then? Like, I understand, or like, play a long game, like, instead of being like, we're going to be terrorists, and, you know, draw the eye of the Magic Knights to us, to which both them and the Wizard King will be after us because we hurt innocent people for no reason. Like, set up your kingdom. And, like, destroy them economically. I don't know. Destroy them economically. Ally yourself with other kingdoms, although maybe they will. Who knows? That could be an interesting point if they allied themselves with, like, the Diamond Kingdom or something. I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out. I don't know. I don't know how long this arc is gonna last, you know? Like, we're still going, but it's like, is this what the whole show is about? Is dealing with Liched? I don't know. Or is this just the first big arc, and then we're going to go to another big arc? I mean, we've got, 170 episodes at least. So, I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. I just don't have sympathy for these villains. Which, when I say it out loud, it does kind of become a thing of like, well, should you have sympathy for the villains? They are villains. But I feel like, especially like in the past like 20 years, like so many movies and shows have been like, no, you need to sympathize with the villains and stuff. And it's just like, you know what? Maybe we're not going to do that. Maybe we're not going to do that here. Like, I don't sympathize with them. I don't fully empathize with them either. It's just, I just don't. There's like, no, you're crazy and you need to go down. I mean, it's like, it's like the difference between Avatar and The Legend of Korra. In The Legend of Korra, you get all these backstories for how the villains came to be, and it's just like, oh man, kind of sucks, what happened with each of them and stuff. But then, depending on, one or the other, it just kind of depends on some of them. But, you go to like Fire Lord Ozai, and it's like, well, does he have a sad backstory as to why he's evil? It's like, no, he's just evil. Like, he's just a Nazi, basically, He's just, he was, second in line to the throne, dealt with, beat his brother, basically, for the throne, and, took the throne from his older brother in an underhanded way, and then continued what he was raised to do. Be the Fire Lord and continue on the war. That's essentially all Ozai is, And that's okay. That happens, Not everyone has this sad backstory, but obviously all these guys have sad backstories, but I don't know. Maybe we don't need to. It's like I don't know. It's like I see it. I understand it. I don't sympathize at all. So I don't know. It's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing with them, but one thing I do really like though is I like when a show will do the thing where it's like the bad guys are light, the good guys are darkness. For some reason that is like which it's starting to become more and more of a trope, but it's just like I kind of like that where it's like the bad guys will have this like almost holy light power, like we are the light, the day, the good. But then the good guys are like, well, we are the darkness, we are the night. But we're actually helping people, you know? They did that on Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. They had the Light of Destruction, and then they had Jaden or Judai gain this dark power to combat it, basically. And then the funny thing is, at the end of the show, then he has his dark power and he's fighting darker power, which was also kind of funny. But it's just like, but I kind of like that. I like that, like, visual difference of, like, you know, here's Lich, this, like, you know, almost angelic being, you know, and, like, at the end when he caves in the cave, and, you know, there's this ray of light shining on him as if he is from heaven. But he's the bad guy. He is a terrorist trying to kill innocent people. And then you have, you know, Yami and Asta, who have these, like, powers of darkness, basically. Literally. Yami has dark magic, and Asta has the dark swords. So they even say in the first episode, you know, what does a 5-leaf clover represent? Well, that extra clover leaf represents a demon, you know? There's something about that I just kind of like, you know? It's just kind of funny. So but yeah, and then we also got, you know, Asta learning on the fly, which I like that he was actually, like, teaching him this stuff. And what an interesting concept, bringing in ki. Like, that's such an interesting thing. It's like, it's basically just a blanket term for the energy that the body gives off, you know, in different, like, movements and different things that it does. And it is different and separate from mana, which is interesting. And that's also interesting because you would almost think that they would kind of be the same thing, you know? Like, well, it's like how, you know, they say, it's like, well, the force is in all living things, you know? But, you know, there's different levels of the force. You know, Anakin, he's got a lot of friggin' force. A flower, probably not as much, but it has a little, you know? Like, you would almost think, like... And that does seem to be the case for mana, but then adding on to that, ki on top of that, is really interesting. And honestly, I kind of like it because it kind of separates... It kind of separates mana and magic as being this mystical thing. You know, it's one thing we talked about this on Free Run recently, but one thing about a lot of these shows where it's just like, oh yes, you know, what is the magic system? It's, well, magic, you know? And it's like, I feel like, though, a lot of times we kind of lose what the word magic means. Magic is magic, you know? It is a thing we cannot really explain, you know? It is supposed to separate itself from science. And I like that, and I feel like ki... Even though ki doesn't normally do this, you know, I feel like in shows, but ki is now taking that sort of almost scientific approach of, like, you know, this is something biologically, you know, this is something in our DNA, you know, it's the little energies that the body gives off, these little, like, you know, energy reactions that give off when the body does something, you know? And so that's interesting, and separating that from mana, you know? So yeah, so I really like that, and I like him teaching that to Asta, because that's a very good thing that Asta needs to learn, because he can't sense mana, you know? So that was good. I like that. And yeah, we'll have to see. We will have to see, you know, what's going on, you know, what is going on with this whole thing, and can Yami and Asta defeat Lich? I don't know. We will have to see. But that is basically it. With all of that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of my Black Clover reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.